And there we have it, some very, very happy scenes at Stead Park on Saturday night after a 4-1 win over Corio in the State League One local derby. They're a very important game for the Lions, their fourth consecutive win on the trot. And it's an absolute pleasure now to introduce our next guest from the Geelong Soccer Club. Defender who's really made the backline impenetrable there at Geelong Soccer Club, JAKE Talevski. Jake, good evening and welcome to the Geelong Region Soccer Show.
Thanks for having me, Tonchi.
Mate, phenomenal scenes there, and the conductor there, Romeo Pudley, are leading the charge. Geez, he's got a very unique voice, and well, at the moment, it must be absolutely fantastic playing football at Stead Park.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure playing it as a player as well. The change room atmosphere has been amazing recently. There's a really great atmosphere around the club. All the players, you can see, we're all on board with it, and yeah, just the results are following in line with how it feels in the change room right now.
Yeah. Now, Ante Mordic, the coach, it's funny enough, we had him, I think, on the very, very first show back. So it's now 20 episodes later. New coach, his certainly credentials are absolute of the highest level. And it was a bit of a slow start at the start of the year. Probably took a little bit for the boys to gel together and maybe to adapt to Ante's style as well. But well and truly, as we said, in the last 4 weeks in particular, but bit by bit, that's been happening, hasn't it? Like it was just a matter of time before everything just fell into place. And now that it has, you guys are looking extraordinarily good.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that he's implementing all of his tactics and footballing knowledge that he's earned from his experience as a footballing player, wherever he's gone, whether it be overseas or for the Australian national team as well. And initially for players, I think sometimes it takes a little while to adapt to what a coach is trying to implement. But
Yeah.
you can see recently the footballing we're playing, it's not necessarily him having to tell us a particular way to play, but we're understanding the basic concepts of what he's trying to teach us as well. So bit by bit, you can see it's just becoming natural to us. And yeah, we're just playing with while enjoying ourselves, really. We're putting good football out in the park as well. And yeah, hopefully it's as good to watch as it is to play for us on the park.
It's an interesting division, isn't it? Because last week, I think it was, Whittlesea United lost. Brimbank Stallions have dropped points. And at the moment, you're on the same amount of points as Brimbank Stallions in second spot, and Whittlesea United are further than that. But it's just one of those divisions you just can't take any game for granted, can you?
Absolutely. Well, at the start, we had really inconsistent form. We had a big poster up on our change room walls showing that we hadn't been able to string consecutive wins across the first half of the season. And you just see, just if you string a few results together, the results show. And for us, really, any team has been able to get a result against anyone on their day. And I think for us, it's really started with when we got a great result on the road at Whittlesea. And realistically, from there, if Westgate game aside, we've been a vastly different team from the team we were at the first half of the season.
Yeah. Now you've had one of the big things has been your strike force this year. Bruno on the weekend got a hat trick, and he's been a real revelation. The Brazilian import since being signed mid-season. But Dennis Deluri, he's been in great form. Who else? We had Caleb Mikulic at the start before he left overseas. Then we had Giovanni Colossi, the Italian, as well. He's been on fine form, scoring 6 goals thereabouts. So it's great having that target up front, isn't it? Knowing that when you go forward, you've got players there that can really, really do something with the ball.
Well, the benefit of having Bruno come in for us in particular is just that different kind of player up top where, especially in the last few games, we've been able to put actual pressure onto scoreboard pressure as well too. You see the last few games really, Ballarat, he scored the decisive goal, but he also squared up the second goal as well too for us for Ballarat, which the scoreboard doesn't always show.
Yep.
You look before, even when he's not scoring, he's doing a really positive impact for the whole general play of the team. Great hold-up play. Dennis is of amazing quality, and the funny thing with him is we haven't even had him for the last few weeks. He through circumstance after getting suspended against Whittlesea,
Yep.
Saturday was the first game back we've had for him since Whittlesey. So it just shows we've got a range of attacking options up top. Now you got the bench, the strikers, wingers getting subbed on, providing great impact as well too. You had Xavier Ryan scoring for us against Ballarat as well. Tomo has been outstanding as well too. He started again on Saturday. We've just got all the attacking options available. Gio's technically gifted. You can see with him, we've got all the options in the world up there.
Fantastic, and you're holding the fort in the back line as well. But mate, you've had an interesting story because you've come back from quite adversity, I guess, with some injuries. Over the last few years, you've had issues with your ACL, your meniscus. Tell us about that, and tell us how you found the road back from recovery.
Yeah, it was a really long and you can call it bumpy road as well too.
Yeah.
So the tough part of it was that I'd sort of started to break into the senior squad at the time it happened as well too. It was my second or third start for the senior squad at the time. And yeah, right on the stroke of half time. It wasn't even a sharp change of movement, but I was wearing medals on maybe a pitch which was maybe slightly too firm for. I got caught a bit inside. You know, the Geelong pitch sometimes a bit damper on the outsides.
Yep.
And just through circumstance, I had a full rupture of my ACL. I had tears to my meniscus in my left knee, and also a grade 1 MCL strain. So initially, there was a world of recovery to come back from there. So for me, I had a severe injury, but the tough part of it really for me was that just as I was about to come back, I then struck issues with my meniscus again. I needed another arthroscopy to clean it out again.
Yep. And was that a direct result of the injury, or was that now something else?
It wasn't a direct result of the injury. I guess just the primary thing that you have to consider when you come back from an ACL is that you need to build your body up balanced.
Yeah.
So the rest of my physical shape was perfect, but I was just getting held back from returning to the park because my physio wasn't quite happy with my balance between my two legs.
Yes.
And it sort of showed, I guess, just through pure circumstance. I went to go take a shot in training, maybe not quite warmed enough, and it just felt a pop in there, and just thankfully it was my ACL, but yeah, my meniscus required further attention. And yeah, from there, as I was coming back from that, I then had excessive swelling, excessive scar tissue build up in my knee. So I then needed a further arthroscopy in September of last year just to clear all that out. So 3 procedures later, got to return onto the park this year. But
Gosh, and mate, you're only 22 years of age, is that right?
Yeah,
So
22.
you hear about young players a lot of the time having these type of injuries, and it takes a lot of mental strength to come back from this as well. And you're a defender. You're used to bone crunching tackles and going in hard for the ball. Psychologically, what did you have to do to get that confidence back so that you wouldn't now go in half-heartedly into tackles and risk further injury?
For me, I think the psychological problem for me just came from off the park, just maintaining, just ensuring that I'm okay mentally. But I think on the park, the minute I was back in training, just doing all the things, like for me to go into a tackle is second nature to me, really. So a lot of people always question, like, that first tackle is going to be one that gets you back from a long-term injury. But for me, I never really felt like I lost that. That's always been a part of my game, and that's been the positive for me. It's just I guess off the park, me maintaining my discipline and focus for recovery just sort of reinforced me that my love for the sport, because a lot of people after this, even just the second, let alone a third operation, would have thrown it all away.
Yeah. And do you now have to kind of, particularly in the off season, I guess, when you're doing your own strength and conditioning, do you now have to focus on doing extra or doing something specific in order to kind of like just to compensate for everything that your knees have gone through?
I'm doing it now throughout the season, actually. So I make sure I go to the gym at least once a week, just to, if not like putting high load through my knees, just ensuring I'm getting some extra strengthening and conditioning on top of them. It's been a bit of a characteristic of me, but I always do a few hops and lands as soon as I jump on a park. Cop some flack from fans from it at times. It's a bit funny. There's
Yeah.
like a little spin I do, like a spin and land I do. But yeah, like for me, just as long as I've been able to get my routine together, and whenever I do those, I get a lot of confidence within my leg, and
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
Brilliant words of advice. We're speaking with Jake Talevsky from Geelong Soccer Club, who, as we said, is enjoying the fruits of success at the moment with Geelong Soccer Club and everything that's happening there. And let's hope that continues certainly until the end of the season. But the interesting thing is, you've also had, I guess, I won't call it difficult times, but you actually play under your father, who's the assistant coach there, Rob Talevsky at Geelong Soccer Club. Now, at that level, senior level, is it harder or sometimes easier when your own father's there, part of the coaching staff, or do you sort of have to push yourself double hard to try and just kind of not earn his wrath?
It's always harder. Whatever level you play at, whether it's senior level where it's under or it's under 12s level, I'd probably argue it's even harder at under 12s level because you get a few more insults which hurt a bit deeper back then, like for kids. But I guess it's a perception thing really, because if you're undeserving of it, it's going to be shown. But for me, really, I've always had pride in ensuring that I put myself at the best
Mhm.
quality possible. But I guess the thing for me with Geelong, which helped, was that I managed to break into the senior scene before he arrived into the coaching staff.
Yeah,
I actually had a chat with him before he took on the role with Ante, just to just say, look, it popped up for him, but for me, I felt like I'd already earned a lot of the respect of my peers around me, so
yeah,
I could. It wasn't as much of a problem, but regardless, you need to work extra hard. It's a common thing, really. At the grassroots level, in particular, these parents are the ones who help develop not just their own kids, but their kids around them, and
yeah,
it's not something to worry about. It's to me, I've always seen it as an advantage because it gives me an extra reason to work that little bit harder,
yeah.
and it pays off in the long term.
It's interesting you say that because I talk to a lot of peers and a lot of parents, fathers around the Geelong region and wider who coach their kids, and it's always that common thing that does your kids sort of suffer because the dad's coaching? And in a lot of cases, and I know with my own son, it often happened that you were twice as hard on them because you knew what they were capable of, or you wanted to push them hard, or you just didn't want to be seen like you were favouring him because he's your son. And the poor thing would sometimes cop the wrath of it because, and I know a lot of parents with, or dads in particular, were talking similar type of thing. But now we're seeing it hearing it from a player's point of view, from a son's point of view, where you're in a situation where you've earned your stripes on your own accord, and now dad's come in on from the side, but it doesn't really change anything. If anything, it drives you to go even harder.
Absolutely, it does for me. I think it can be for anyone. I just think it's about having the right mindset for it. I see it as I said, an advantage in that aspect. But also an advantage of having someone around you who's been around the game throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one thing to have someone there, but if they've had that experience, and you're getting better advice from them as well. At the end of the day, you're getting someone who understands the game, and it's like having it's additional training for you really, because you get that extra level of insight, and you get that extra level of knowledgeability that you probably wouldn't be able to get, especially in the way Australian football is, where we're not necessarily a professional football environment.
Yeah.
It's almost professional, where you're with them 7 days a week.
Yeah. There's no switching off, is there? Well, at
Never.
the moment, the way things stand with 6 games to go, Whittlesea United are on top with 34 points, and then Brimbank Stallions and Geelong on 28 points at the moment. Still lots of football left in this season, and well, if Geelong can get promoted next year, we'll be looking at a North Geelong derby, the original derby, which the last one at Stead Park, I think, attracted about 1,500 fans or something like that. So if we thought Saturday night was fantastic, wow, that's going to be even more amazing. So we certainly hope, Jake, that you can continue this rich vein of form that that has seen you win your last 4 games, and with 6 games remaining, let's hope that we can make it 10 wins on the trot. Wouldn't that be great?
It's always great to win. The end result of the season is the end result, but especially from our group, it's just we've really turned a corner, and it's just been a matter of us enjoying ourselves on the park really, and just seeing where we end up.
Absolutely, and continue to enjoy yourself. Well done, Jake. Thank you very much for joining us on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. I know there's a lot of people in the chat that are in the viewers that are very, very glad that you came on the show tonight. Wishing you all the best for the remainder of the season.
Thanks for having me, Tonchi. I appreciate it.